What is up, Nickel City Mafia? Man, it seems a very long time since we've talked last. And here we go into week 14. Big week with the New York Jets flying into Buffalo, looking to sweep the Bills for the first time since 2016. They've never done it with Josh Allen at helm, but let's hope we keep it that way. I'm Mike Thornton. This is Jake Podger. If you're new to our channel, please like, comment, and drop a nickel on that subscribe button for us. We greatly appreciate it. As people come into the channel, I want to hear who's out there. Tell us who's out there on a Saturday. I thought maybe, was there some college stuff going on? Jake says, no, we don't have any college games going on. But
Well,
people,
I did mean to mention too tonight
okay.
is the Heisman Trophy ceremony too.
All right.
So
Well,
and then of course we got Army Navy. So yeah.
all right. Well, that's tonight. But right now, there's other than Christmas shopping, which is important as well. I'm sure a lot of people out there Christmas shopping. By the way, Jake, are you one of those Black Friday people who go out early in the morning with the wife? And are you out there getting those deals? How'd that go for you?
Yeah, I went early Black Friday. Just me, my good buddy Ian, ZBell84, who tunes in
Yeah.
sometimes, and then my brother. We just went. The wife stayed home, slept in with the baby. The baby slept in that morning until like 9:30, 10 o'clock. But I think she was worn out from the holidays and stuff. So, yeah, that was great. So, really didn't buy much, Mike. It's kind of a different world now. You go out and it's not like obviously there were still people out shopping and whatnot, but there's such a presence with the online shopping, and there's so many
Yeah.
online deals that are now on like super early and they extend past Black Friday. So it's different now. It's like I think COVID kind of switched things up a little bit too. I think that was like the final nail in the coffin to like the classic Black Friday shopping. So it was fun. It's always a good tradition. Glad we got out, and yeah, it does. It feels like it's been forever since we really talked Bills football. I mean, we did do the pregame and postgame for the Pats game, but I feel
We
like
did.
that's
We
such
did.
a everything blends together now.
Yeah, and there's been a lot that's happened, and we're going to get into that. So we got a lot of good stuff to talk about and catch up on, including Von Miller, some Kyer Elam discussions, and then our normal pregame show. Um, and by the way, so how you been, man? How you been
I'm
this
good.
past week?
I'm in. I'm pointing my camera up a little bit. I just want to show. We do have a special guest over
Oh,
my
yes, we do.
my
Look at
shoulder
that.
there. Josh Allen has joined the broadcast as well. That was not a Black Friday deal, by the way. It was on sale. I went into Party City and I'm like, how do I not have this? I mean, this would be a perfect fit. Could put it on the show. It's in my man cave. It's in a perfect spot. It's not normally here, but you have to have it for the show. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, it's great.
Well, I got a text from your wife. She's saying, "Can you tell Jake to take Josh out of the bedroom?" She says he got him set up in the bedroom. He's got to move it. Can you please talk to him?
That's actually not false. So that's great.
Good stuff here. Well, let's get into some things here. First of all, I want to talk about this great cause that we have going on, and that is we are raising funds for Baby Jack and his family. Baby Jack is fighting cancer, and we teamed up with PUNT, the Pediatric Cancer Collaboration. Hard to say that quickly, but a great organization right there out of Buffalo. Dawson Knox is associated with this organization. They offer a lot of programs for families that have children that have been diagnosed with cancer. And Baby Jack is a family, and his family is the family we adopted for this holiday season, and we're raising money. And I'm happy to say, we had a goal of 5,000. We've hit 2,900 so far, Jake, and that's just in a week and a half. That is fantastic.
That's amazing.
And all that credit goes to our subscribers and the members of our channel. They're so dedicated and willing to support this cause. And I do want to mention a couple key people. Aside from you, Jake, I appreciate all that you've been doing to raise money. I saw that you've donated yourself. You got friends and family donating. I've done the same thing. But, behind the scenes in our Discord channel, and by the way, if you haven't joined our Discord channel, please do so. There's a lot of good stuff going in there. Not only do we talk about the Buffalo Bills on a daily basis, Buffalo Sabres, but we have a fundraiser thread in there as well. And three guys I want to mention. We have two Toms, Tom S. and Tom B. And they are working hard behind the scenes, figuring out ways to get money raised for Baby Jack and his family. I mean, Jake, they're going as far as they're printing flyers. They're going around town. Now, both of them are local to Buffalo. And I think both those guys, they're going out, they're hanging up flyers. They're asking, I think I think they've went into Tops. They've gone into pizza places. I've even heard one of them might go to the game Sunday and hand out the flyers. And they're just doing a lot of groundwork, which is so appreciative. And they're also bringing up ideas on how we can get this goal. And I can't thank them enough. So there's Tom B, Tom S, and I also want to mention Ryan, who's also in the Discord channel. He came in with the biggest donation of $500, and he's challenging his company
Amazing.
to match that. So we wouldn't be able to do it with you guys without you. So please, the link is in the description of this video. Any amount helps. $5, $10. Jake and I said last week, we have over 1,100 subscribers. If every one of them just donated $5, we'd hit that goal easily. And so, and we understand there are some folks that just cannot donate monetarily, but you can help in other ways, and that is sharing the link to your friends, your family, your social media platforms, because those are the folks. Obviously this is a legitimate organization, so a lot of folks are skeptical, like, who am I donating to? But this is local to Buffalo. This family is local to Buffalo. This organization is local to Buffalo. So please share that link. We got something planned, and I'll mention it now. It's not set in stone yet, but we're working on it. We're hoping to have a holiday spectacular telethon, kind of old-fashioned telethon, a live show on December 23rd. That's a Friday. It'll be 8 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. Pacific time, and we're going to be trying to raise money for Baby Jack and reach that, that goal of ours of $5,000. We're also going to have entertainment on that, so it's going to be interesting. We got some folks out there that are possibly going to be pre-recording some songs to Baby Jack. So that's going to be a lot of fun, Jake. I don't know about you. I'm super excited.
Yeah.
If we can bring that together, it'll be fun. So
hey, we're going big for that, Mike. We're wearing ugly sweaters. I may or may
Yes.
not be accepting some dare requests too. I know Tom S has already got me doing something. So we'll play that one by ear, but obviously within reason. I don't want to
Yeah.
be going crazy. I don't want to be the next viral video for the wrong reasons. But
Yes, true.
you know what I mean. So it's
Yeah.
going to be spectacular. It is going to be a holiday spectacular, wrapped up, kind of all put together with a pregame show. I think too, Mike, maybe
A little bit of pregame. Yeah, a little
Yeah,
pregame
it's going to
worked
be
in there.
wild. So tune in. Don't miss it. I mean, we're going to be on for a little bit that night, so it'll be fun. It'll be a good one.
Yeah, and we're always like to bring some fun. So and we love trivia. So Jake, we're gonna actually, hopefully, if we get some folks watching us live, we're gonna bring two people on to compete in a little trivia game,
Oh, I
and the
love
winner will win a gift certificate. I'm not gonna tell you what that is. You actually have to be there. But yeah, we'll have a little trivia contest. I know you like that. We'll offer them a phone a friend option, which will be you. They can phone a friend at some point during the trivia
That's
contest,
awesome.
and you can help them out one time. So hopefully we can get a couple people to participate in that. And again, it's going to be a great time. But again, it's all about Baby Jack and his family. Let's get to that goal of 5,000. Thank you so much for all your help in doing that. So let's get into, I want to talk a little bit about some big news that happened between the last game and this game. We didn't go live with it, but unless you've been living under a rock, or you're out of the country and you don't have access to social media or TV, Von Miller lost for the season due to a torn ACL. I think that news broke on, what was that? Was that Monday, Jake, around there? When did that news break?
Yeah, I think it was. I actually think it was Tuesday going into Wednesday. Yeah.
Okay. And I guess from what I've read, what I've heard, it was supposed to be exploratory surgery. They were going in there to take a look. And then, of course, they saw the torn ACL and had to repair it right then and there. So big loss for us. Obviously, again, it's crazy. 2 Thanksgivings in a row that we lose a big player on defense. Last year, we lost Trey White in the Thanksgiving game. He's back now. And then this year, we lose Von Miller. But, Jake, let me throw it to you and just talk about what that means for this team going forward. Obviously, this is a guy you can't replace. He's the closer. He's been worth every bit of that money we gave him. And now we're going into the stretch where we really, really wanted him, where we really needed him. And so talk to me about what that means for this team going forward. And then I have a follow-up question for you.
Yeah. Clearly, it means we can't play on Thanksgiving anymore because, my gosh, 2 years in a row, 2 big-time players. But it also, there's something rooted beneath all that too. And some people were bringing it up before the game in Detroit, basically saying, don't play any of our superstar players because the turf that Detroit uses is the same exact turf that New Orleans used. And we saw what happened with Trey White. And then, of course, it happened with Von Miller again the year after. So I think people are a little fed up with playing on turf in general. I think a lot of players are starting to call out, like, maybe we shouldn't be playing on turf. Maybe we should play on natural grass because just, when you go down with an injury, it's, there's a little more padding and, when you're getting tackled on turf, first off, that hurts like hell. I mean, you see these players, they wear these, arm sleeves pretty much to help protect their forearms and stuff when they just skid across the turf. But when you get tackled on the turf, I mean, it does not feel pretty. You have a lot of adrenaline going, but you always feel it the next day. I mean, that's something that it's a crazy feeling. But I don't know if that's necessarily the solution, but I've heard people calling for no more turf, including players, because there's so many injuries that happen, not just from obviously, concussions, slamming your head on the turf, but also you have these ligament injuries where, because you can move so fast and, you can plant and cut so quickly, you can tweak things so much easier on turf compared to grass. So it is something to obviously, maybe consider for the future. I don't think turf is going away anytime soon. I mean, the Bills play on turf too. So, maybe it's just what Detroit and New Orleans use is maybe that needs to be reinvestigated, because there's been a lot of, and MetLife Stadium too, another one. Those stadiums, for whatever reason, they seem to have more of these ACL injuries than others. So it's maybe a conversation to have for the future. I know that was a totally different direction. Talking about Von, I listened to his interview on the Pat McAfee show, and he is super optimistic. Although there were some things in there, kind of cryptic messages. I don't know if I caught it the proper way, but the title of Pat McAfee's clip from his show was saying that Von Miller had thought about actually retiring before the end of the season, before the ACL surgery, before that all happened. So when I listened to it, it didn't really, what it sounded like was that if he were to retire before the season, I don't think he said he was going to, or he was planning on it. I don't think he actually said that. It may have been more clickbait, which McAfee doesn't typically do. So maybe they even misunderstood. But the way that he came across in that interview, basically he said, yeah, he went down to Dallas. He had gotten this exploratory surgery. He was going to get his meniscus taken care of. Well, then they found out that he actually had a full torn ACL. So then what they did was they took part of the patella tendon that they used for his other knee for his ACL, and they used it for his new ACL. So it's just a very, very unfortunate situation. And it's like, we can't get away from the bad luck this year. I don't know why it seems like it's been biting the Bills more than other teams. It's not an excuse. It's just an observation, because when you have so many big name players going down with injuries, I mean, you can't not think maybe we are a little cursed in some ways, Mike. It sucks. But Von was super optimistic in the interview, as I mentioned. He said he's coming back. He wants to play out that full 6-year deal. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But he said from afar, he's going to be that guy, making sure that these players are coached up. He's going to do what he can to be that moral support. He's going to learn under Brandon Beane, even, he was saying, to potentially become a GM after football. So I actually felt comfort just listening to that interview, just hearing what he had to say. It almost made me feel a little bit better. And, he even felt like the defense was still going to be just fine without him. So hearing Von say that made me feel a little bit better. And I was thinking about it more after the fact. And I'm like, you know what? It really does give guys like Greg Rousseau and AJ Epinesa time to step up and really develop. When you're just rotating in and out, and not saying Greg Rousseau was, but AJ Epinesa was sort of that guy who was just kind of coming in and out of the game. Now it seems like he's going to take more of a role of that full-time player. So we really can see what he's made of, from the coaching staff, from the fans, stuff like that. But I think for him, it's a great test, because he was a second-round pick, Mike. This is a guy that's supposed to be delivering day in and day out, and it's been a little inconsistent. I think this year has been definitely his best year by far, and he's looked really good in recent games. So I'm excited to see him step up. And it's a really good question to ask, now with Von being out, because he makes that whole entire defensive line better. Are they going to crumble, or are they going to stand up and rise to the occasion? I think they're going to rise to the occasion. So I am optimistic. I feel better after listening to that interview. If you talked to me 24 hours before that, I was a little down in the dumps, but I'm feeling a little bit better now. And I am Optimus Prime. But hey, we'll be just fine.
I mean, that news was crushing, and I'm still trying to digest it a bit, what it means going forward. So I was looking forward to getting on the show with you to kind of get your thoughts. First of all, I wanted to ask you, is it the same knee that he tore his ACL on
I
before?
believe it was. Yeah, I believe it was. So that kind of hurts even more because when you do the same knee twice, you have less strength in that knee alone, and then you tend to favor the other side. So who's to say if he tears the other one next season? I mean, that's you could probably put a cap on his career
Is
there.
there anyone that you know of that has torn their same ACL twice? In anyone
Yeah.
comes to mind that maybe came back and
Um.
still can't had a healthy career? Anyone you can think of?
Two ACL tears on the same knee and came back to make a major impact. Not off the top of my head can I think of someone who's done that.
Yeah,
I think Vaughn is in a unique position though, where he's not like a skill guy. He's not a receiver. Obviously, you got to be explosive off the ball and whatnot. But listen, if anyone can do it, it's Vaughn.
yeah,
So
I agree. I agree.
that's my mindset right now. I'm trying to stay optimistic about this.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, last year with Trey White, it took him a full year to get back. The way the Bills do things, I'm sure that's when we can look to see him come back again. But Von's one of those guys. I wouldn't be surprised if he was ready in 9 months, 10 months. But
Yeah.
to he'd be like, Coach, put me in. But knowing the Bills, they'll keep him out for the full year.
Uh,
Um, tell me if I'm wrong. This is just how we see the Bills, and their leadership deal with these type of things. And again, we don't know. With Trey, there was a lot of speculation. Again, that's another problem. The way the Bills communicate these situations to the fan base, it leaves a lot of speculation. So we're going to speculate, right? And there was speculation that it was Trey White that was holding himself back, not the Bills. The Bills were like, "We want you in," and Trey wasn't ready in his own mind. So, and again, it does take a bit to come back from a huge injury. And yeah, there's a little bit of a mindset, little mind game that you gotta get over, getting back out there. You don't want to go through that again. You're like, I don't want this injury to hit me again. So you're a little worried about that. But again, speculation. But yeah, best hope is that he's back in 10 months. But my guess is we'll see him around Thanksgiving. And
yeah.
Jake, I hope, like you said, if it is, let's just skip Thanksgiving. Let's stop putting
It's
us on
fun,
Thanksgiving.
but man, comes
Yeah,
with a
stop putting
price.
us on Thanksgiving. And my president at my work was talking to me the other day, and I was wearing my Josh Allen. He goes, "You're from Buffalo, right?" I go, "Yeah, I grew up in Buffalo." He goes, "My brother's daughter married a Bills Mafia fan, and he was sitting at Turkey Thanksgiving Day, and he said his brother was so mad because." This guy did not want to sit at the table. He wanted to go eat his food, take his food elsewhere, and go watch the game. And he
Yeah.
goes, and the president of my company was like, "That's the thing. This is these Bills fans." And I said, "Yeah, 100%." And I told them about, look, I tell my wife all the time, if there's someone getting married, if there's a funeral, if you're having a baby, I'm not going to be there. I'm sorry.
Count me
Do
out.
not schedule it on a Bills game. But yeah, it was kind of funny to hear that. And then he shared our link with him, and I think he subscribed to our channel. So good stuff there. Von's still going to be out there, just like Micah Hyde is right now. You see Micah Hyde out there with his leadership, mentoring these young guys, and I think you'll see the same from Von. But my follow-up question to you, and thank you, by the way, with sharing all that. My follow-up question to you is, looking at this defense now without Von Miller compared to the defense last year, and let's say that 13-second game was about to happen tomorrow, that game against Kansas City. Do you think this defense is better still without Von Miller than we were last year? About the same or worse?
This is a tough question because you're also taking Micah Hyde out of the picture. I think if Micah Hyde was on the defense still, I would say it is a better defense. But because he is not on the field and losing Von Miller, I'm going to say it's slightly worse. But position group wise, I think the D line and the linebackers are better. The secondary, I think, is better when Micah Hyde's in the lineup, and that's pretty clear. It's pretty evident, As good as DeMar Hamlin has played, I just feel like there is a different type of energy, a different type of security when we have both Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde back there. Like that cannot be replaced. And I love what DeMar Hamlin's done, but I just feel like because of that fact, I'm going to say that the defense is not as good. But I think they can be if the defensive line continues to step up, if they continue to play well, because the last 3 games have been domination up front. And even when Vaughn was out this past game, I mean, they looked so damn good, Mike. And they weren't going against like a premier offensive line by any means. I mean, you have David Andrews and Cole Strange, but Michael Onwenu or Onwenu, I mean, they were bullying him all day, and those tackles too, they were banged up too. So I am curious to see what we do against a really stout offensive line. And the Jets really took it to us last time we played against them. So I think this week is going to be a really telling sign of just how good that D-line is. And then from the linebacker area, I mean, we've seen tremendous amounts of growth in the play of both Matt Milano and Tremaine Edmonds. So I could not be happier with both of those guys. And it's going to make for a really tough conversation come offseason, because we were talking at the beginning of the year, we were basically just writing Tremaine off and saying we shouldn't even bother re-signing him, regardless if he plays well or not. But we saw just how much of an impact he makes. So it's going to be a really interesting conversation to have come off season. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the Tremaine conversation stemmed from other people saying that. I mean, yes, we were feeding into it a little bit.
We were,
but it is a great question. For me, Jake. So let's go through it, right? So, like you said, the safeties without Micah Hyde, that safety duo back there is not as good, all right, than last year. But in the corners, we didn't have Trey White in that 13-second game. We got him back, so that might be a little bit of a wash there. Over on the other side, we had Levi Wallace last year. Do you think we've improved cornerback number 2?
I would say yes. Based on Levi Wallace's play, he's actually hurt I think he's out for the rest of the year, if I recall. So, obviously you can't really see what he did per se. You can't really compare. I mean, he played maybe half a season. He had an interception against the Bills. But yeah, I mean, I think if you look at it, you compare Xavier Rhodes, Dane Jackson, and some of the other guys we've rotated in, Kaiir Elam that we've rotated in and out. I think we actually have upgraded there. So I would say that's actually a good point, Mike. I didn't really think of it that way because we didn't have Trey White last year. So maybe having him in the lineup, it almost is a wash. And it's hard to take away a guy like Micah Hyde and say that your defense is better, because that back end is so important. It's so important to have good safeties. And I think it's been this year, we've been exposed a little bit, especially on the deep ball. I mean, that Dolphins game is a totally different game if Micah Hyde's playing in it. So again, Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer for that matter. So
let's continue, right? You said linebackers, Tremaine Edmonds having a fantastic year. He's in a contract year. Again, that switch has been flipped. We always see that with folks in contract years, but he's having a very, very good year. And for those that are saying, there's been a lot of people, including myself at one point in time, who have been pretty hard on him, but you can see the difference when he's missed a few games this year, just a night and day from when he's in the game. And then Matt Milano's been having a stellar year. Like, he took it up another notch as well. So from a linebacker, same faces, but I think they're definitely better. And then you look at that front line, the edge players are pretty much the same as that 13-second game last year, other than we don't have Jerry Hughes. We don't have Mario Addison. We got the young guns now. Epinesa is going to have to take on a bigger role. We do have Shaq Lawson, who's been playing very, very well, and he's going to be probably getting more snap counts as well. You got Rousseau. You got Boogie Basham.
Shaq Lawson.
I just meant Shaq, maybe Shaq Lawson. So, and then where the big improvement was on the interior defensive line, right? That interior defensive line is way better than what we had last year. Obviously, Oliver is Oliver, and he keeps getting better. But those other guys that we added, Tim Settle, Jordan Phillips, who, by the way, will be out this game, Daquan Johnson's been just so solid. Huge improvement there. So to me, without Von Miller, if you take all that into account, I think we're slightly better, Jay.
Yeah. Now you're actually kind of stirring me the other way. Now when we break it down like that, you really think about it. Maybe we are, Mike. I think you sold me on that, because I think the unsung hero of that D-line this year has actually been Daquan Jones. Like, we talk about how good Von Miller has been, but it starts on the interior there. I mean, he creates a lot of these plays, taking up two guys and doing the dirty work inside. And people they don't talk about that as much, obviously, because you're not putting up the numbers, putting up the stats and whatnot. But he has been so good for our defensive line. He's helped Ed Oliver out tremendously.
Yeah.
And it goes, once you start from the inside, you're working your way out. So I think, I might be leaning with you on that. So maybe we will say the defense is a little bit better. I like that.
All right. He's red. Let's go through the channel. I'm sorry, folks in the channel. Let's looks like we got a Thomas Busy. I first thought that was Tom B from our Discord channel,
Yeah,
but it
too.
is not, because he's saying he's from Brazil. So Thomas Busy, good to see you out there. Thank you for joining us, and hopefully you're still out there. And if you are, please hit that subscribe button for us. We'd love to see you again in the future. We got Tom S out there. Yes, we talked about Morning Gents currently at 2,900, so close to 3K on our fundraising for Baby Jack. Yep, and Tom S, you've been a big part of that, so thank you, sir. We're at Red, White, and Bills, our good friend. All should be natural grass. When we were talking about the the artificial turf there in New Orleans and Detroit, Sean saying all should be natural grass, but most teams have turf. Unfortunately, even us. So that's a good point. What is different about the turf here versus what you said, Detroit and New Orleans? Is different somehow?
Yeah, I think it's the material and the manufacturer of it. It's just, I don't know the exact breakdown of it per se, but I know that New Orleans and Detroit, they said, are specifically the same type of turf. So it does vary, per stadium and per facility and whatnot.
Yeah, and then we have Red, White, and Bills again. I have a friend that tore the same knee twice and was never the same. Never played sports again, still walks with a limp. That's tough.
I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, let's get past that real quick.
Yeah.
Let's stay positive. If anyone, like you said earlier, if anyone could get back from this, it's Von Miller.
That's right.
If I was a betting man, sometimes I am, I would bet big time that he'll be back. Then Thomas, this Justin FTJ. I don't know, what is that?
F the Jets.
Oh, Tom, I can never, I love you, Tom, but I always need Jake to interpret. You're a younger kid, and the things you say, I'm like, what the heck did you just say?
That's great.
Red, White, and Bills, statistically, our D was better last year. Yeah, it was, but I think the schedule was softer, especially early on in the season. And as the year went on, and after we lost Trey, we were exposed in that 13-second game. The corners were, at least. Yeah. So having Trey back, and again, I do think we have a slight upgrade, maybe not a slight, maybe even more than a slight, than Levi Wallace, what we had last year. And then, Von is different for sure. Good to see you out there, Sean. By the way, if you haven't checked out the Red, White, and Bills, go check out his channel. Great guy, great content, and usually he's on with us. He usually can't do early shows with us, but he'll probably be part of our post game, whenever that is, sometime to tomorrow afternoon. So good stuff. All right. Now, some other big news, or not big news, but kind of a hot topic with Bills Mafia fans. And I think we even talked about this last time. And let me bring this up right here. Thoughts on Kaiir Elam being a healthy scratch last week? So from what I'm seeing on social media, there's people that are like, either trust the process or they absolutely hate this. They're like, why are we sitting our first round pick starting Xavier Rhodes? Now, I don't mind having Xavier Rhodes, but should he be starting over Elam? Not in my opinion. I think Elam's been fantastic this year. Unless I'm missing something. Unless what I'm missing when I'm watching the game, I feel like Elam's done a fantastic job. He's got 2 interceptions on the year. What am I missing here, Jake? And what are your thoughts on him being a healthy scratch last week?
Well, it's a very this is a really polarizing move, I think. For him to be a healthy scratch, like it's one thing if you decide to start Xavier Rhodes over him and still have Kaiir Elam be active, so he can at least come out onto the field and rotate in, and maybe Xavier Rhodes needs a blow, and then Kaiir Elam comes in and plays in his place, But for him to just be a healthy scratch, that's a totally different level of not playing in the game, So I think as a first round pick, especially, it's really telling to me, maybe we don't know the whole story. Maybe it's something that happened at practice. I know Sean McDermott kind of likes to play these mind games where even last year he had Isaiah McKenzie as a healthy scratch, but I think the biggest difference, of course, is that Kaiir Elam is a first round pick, and he has been playing pretty well up until this point. There wasn't really anything that was glaring, showing that maybe he needed to be benched or anything like that. And for him to just be a healthy scratch outright, I don't get that. I don't get that at all. And I agree with what Sean says. He says, Coach says we want to see what we have in Rhodes. That's fine. Xavier Rhodes played extremely well last week, but for you to just place Kaiir Elam and mark him as inactive because he's a healthy scratch, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I really don't understand the reasoning behind that. I'm more in line with, hey, we'll trust the process, but I got to admit, this is certainly a head scratcher. I don't know what's going on there. I hope it's nothing bigger than football where maybe there's an off the field issue or something like that. Of course, we don't want to speculate about it, but like, what can it be? There, obviously, it's not an injury. And again, like you said, Mike, he's played really well for a rookie and for a guy that a lot of people thought coming into this was very raw, not disciplined, got a lot of stupid penalties, aggressive penalties. I think he's played extremely well, and he's locked up a lot of these receivers. So I don't know. I really don't understand it.
Yeah, I mean, all we can do is speculate again because of the way the Bills communicate information.
Yeah,
and it's not just Buffalo. I guess other teams might do that. I don't know. I don't listen to a lot of other teams' press conferences. I only listen to the Bills, but they never give you a straight answer. And again,
Yeah.
Elam, we can only speculate now. And based on his play on the field, there's no way in hell that guy should have been inactive, a healthy scratch last week. No way in hell. So it makes us speculate. Did something happen, like you said, in practice? Did something go on, in the locker room? I don't know. Was he late to something? They don't tell us these things, so all we can do is speculate. Makes for good conversation, but my goodness, this kid has been fantastic. Get him in there, get him the reps because we need him to get the reps. Right, The more reps he gets, the better it's going to be for our playoff run. So my goodness, I can't figure this one out at all. I am on the side of, I guess, I was watching another show. There's no one in between. I'm always that in between guy. Like, trust the process, and I'm pissed off. I'm somewhere in the middle of that.
It makes you feel like you're like, going through some stuff, like mentally, like you start feeling insane yourself because you're like questioning things and you're getting angry, but you're happy at the same time. Like, this team has made me become a person sometimes that I don't want to be, like in terms of my emotional control, because listen, I try to stay very composed during games and, seeing news and stuff like that. But there are times this year where I've just been like, what the hell, man? Like, what is going on? What is actually going on with this organization right now? Like, what are these decisions? What led up to this? And it's it's a very, and then the next minute I'm, over the moon. So I don't get it. I don't get it. I think I just got to lay back, let the coaches do their coaching, because I'm not in that building. I don't, there's a reason why I'm a fan and why I'm talking about the game instead of being out there coaching, playing, etc.
Yeah, I mean, look at how they handled the Josh Allen situation.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, all week we went from thinking he could be out for the year to the dude starts the next game,
Right.
and he looked pretty damn good. And there was just how they handled it. I'm telling you, that's the reason why we speculate. That's the reason why you go through these emotional roller coaster rides during the week. If you could just be a little more straight up, come on, talk to us straight up. I don't get it, Jake. I have to ask you. You work 5 minutes from the stadium. Literally 5 minutes. It's a walk. I'm not talking you got to get in your car. You can walk. Can you find a way to get into the stadium during the week and get us some behind the scenes footage?
I would love to try and do that, Mike. I will wear a mustache, proud, and maybe I could just say, I'm the fat Josh Allen doppelganger.
We got to get you a fake. I mean, we got some guys in the Discord who can create you a fake press pass that'll look legit.
Go. Yeah.
So Tom S is your guy for that.
Get on that, guys. Get on that, please.
Tom, can you get Jake a fake press conference or press pass so you can get in there? He'll be one of the beat writers.
I would love that.
So a little more on this one. I mean, is it, McDermott's been known to kind of lean towards vets, right? Veterans. Mm-hmm. And this is another case of this where he's like, yeah, Kyrie, you've been fine, but I have this veteran now, and I'd rather play this vet who's not bad. Don't get me wrong; he's a 10-year vet. He's made the Pro Bowl. Xavier Rhodes. And you say he had a good game. I don't know if you look at PFF; they said he didn't. So again, it's just an eye test of what you how you think he did. But do you think it's McDermott just not wanting to play rookies? I mean, he's had to play rookies because he had to. He had to early in the season. But given the choice, I think it's him making this. Obviously, he's making the call.
Yeah,
But is it because of I'd rather have a vet in there?
it could be a little bit of that. It was also a game where I don't know if we necessarily felt like the pass game was going to be super threatening, and it was a chance to see what we had in Xavier Rhodes. And if he did get exposed against the Pats, then chances are we play a team that has like a legitimate passing game. We're going to be in some trouble. So maybe it was one of those types of things. Again, I mean, we can only speculate on it. But I do see a pattern where Sean McDermott definitely is more in tune with starting these veteran players. He puts his trust in them more than these rookies, and he likes to develop the rookies a little bit slower. But I think what doesn't make sense with this is that, and obviously there were injuries at the beginning of the year. Kaiir Elam had to start the year off immediately as that basically number one, number two corner. So it doesn't make sense to, I guess, backtrack and stunt his growth more by not playing him. So I just don't understand that the healthy scratch thing. I think if you're going to, bench him or play someone ahead of him, you still keep him active. So not really sure what's happening there. I don't know. I really am at a loss.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's hope. I really, really hope there's no reason he should not be on the field tomorrow. He should not be active.
I agree.
He should be active. And if he's not, we're going to have to speculate a lot more. And to me, that means there is something truly going on here that we're just not being made aware of.
Right. Yep.
I did want to give, before we get into the actual show with the injuries and all that, I want to give an update on our little bet between Jake and I. The James Cook versus Devin Singletary. Who will have the most combined yardage at the end of the year? I am starting to see a trend. I am starting to see James Cook get a little more time in there. He's starting to cook. He had a very, very good game last week. He's got me a little worried. But let me give you the numbers right now. So James Cook has 323 rushing yards, 151 receiving yards for a total of 474 yards on the year. Singletary has 603 rushing yards, 226 receiving yards for 829 total yards. Right now, there's a 355-yard lead on Singletary. But 5 games to go. If we keep seeing Cook do what he did last week, you still have a shot, Jake. I'm not ruling it out.
Yeah, I don't know, Mike. It's going to be tough because even so, last week, the yardage wasn't that much different between the two. James Cook outdid Devin Singletary a little bit, but it was still somewhat close. I think they're just sprinkling both of them in when they can. But it was really nice to see more James Cook. This is sort of what I predicted would happen, seeing more of him towards the end of the year and kind of taking over the lead back role.
We got the hot girls joining us. We appreciate them coming in every now and then, and appreciate you. So
they're on early.
If you're new to the channel, obviously you're not. Hit that subscribe button for us, please. We greatly appreciate it.
Love it. Love it.
You blocked that user. Gone. All right. So
hey, Tom says 2,000 nickels on McKenzie rushing yards. You mean McKenzie overall rushing yards or tomorrow? Because that is a totally different story. I want to see more of that, though. That is a very good point, Tom. Using Isaiah McKenzie in the run game can be effective. You've seen how the 49ers utilize Deebo Samuel, and other teams have done it with even like Tyreek Hill. I mean, same type of deal. You have a fast guy like that can get outside and, make plays with the ball. I think you do it. So I would like to see some of that tomorrow, actually.
Oops. We actually got Sean. Sean looks like I know he has family in town. He's at the library for school. Tuning into us. Yeah. Good stuff, Sean. Appreciate you still listening to us at the library. You got to keep it quiet, right?
Hopefully he's got headphones in.
Yeah, hopefully. All right, let's get into some of the show here. The breakdown of this game. So the injury report, actually, there's a lot of people on this list, but it's not that bad. We had, the only one who's questionable, we have Deion Dawkins. He was a full practice on Friday. I kind of expect him to play. Where I know you're going to be completely disappointed, Jake, and this is a big one, especially since we've been starting to get that running game going, is Reggie Gilliam is out. He did not practice all week with an ankle problem. He is out. Let me throw it to you real quick. I know you love Reggie Gilliam. You have his jersey. Yeah. He has definitely been a big contributor to getting that run game going. What do you think they do in the absence of him?
Yeah, I don't know. I think obviously you could probably play a tight end there. I mean, do you go and do you play Quentin Morris kind of like as that H-back guy? I think he's played a little bit of that. Quentin Morris is very athletic. He's one of those guys where he's versatile. He can play a little bit of everything. He was a receiver at Bowling Green. Then he converted to tight end. So he's done a little bit of everything, Mike. He's a very good catcher of the football. He could also block, though. He's put on some size. He could block a little bit in the running game. So I think Quentin Morris is probably the logical guy to use there as that fullback, H-back type role. But yeah, I mean, you can't replace a guy like Sledge. I'll tell you that. You know, that is one of my guys, and I really mean that. I think he is like he's part of the heartbeat of that offense. Seriously, like we talk about how much Josh Allen and all these other guys do, but like Reggie Gilliam is kind of like a silent hero sometimes. He makes plays when we need him to make plays, you know, whether it's in the running game, whether he needs to make a short catch or something like that. He's been very good with that, especially this year. So he will be missed, especially against a physical Jets defense. I think Reggie Gilliam is important in a game like this. So I think the logical move is probably to play Quentin Morris there, and we'll take it from there. But yeah, I mean, you can't replace a guy like Sledge for sure.
So I didn't know his nickname was Sledge. Did you just come up with that, or is that something?
No, that's legit his nickname. Yeah, they call him Sledgehammer.
All right.
Started at Toledo. Yeah, started at Toledo.
First time I've heard you refer to him as that. Yeah. So cool, good stuff.
The only thing I'm happy about here is one MAC player potentially replacing another MAC player. We got Bowling Green and Toledo there, and I love my Mactions, so just great to see.
I agree with you. Everything I've been hearing, and again, I support other channels. I listen to them. They also are saying Quentin Morris. You might see more of him filling that role of Reggie there. So who else we got in here? We got Milano. That's a big one. So Milano did not practice most of the week. He was limited in practice on Friday. He's questionable. A lot of people were like, when did Milano get hurt? So I was listening to Matt
Bove. Or Matt Perino.
Matt Perino.
Yep.
I was listening to the show yesterday, and he said apparently he hurt his knee. His knee, right? Let me see here. Yeah, his knee. He hurt his knee early in the game last week, but played through it the whole game. So if that's true, if he hurt it in the game early and played through the whole game, I see no reason why he wouldn't be in Sunday. He is questionable. That's a big out if we don't have him. So that's the only one here on this board that is not clear to me. It's up in the air. It's truly a 50-50. I do believe Dawkins will be playing because he was a full practice. Usually when someone's full practice, that's a good sign that they're going to play. Limited practice typically leaves it up in the air. So that's a big loss for us, Jake, if we don't have Matt out there in this game.
You ain't kidding. Yeah, I mean, obviously, A.J. Klein is nice to have as a an emergency guy and a rotational guy, but you can't replace a guy like Matt Milano, especially against a Jets team that's physical, and they're getting Michael Carter back this week. So, yeah, I mean, irreplaceable, I think. So I hope he plays. I think he will because of what you said, Mike. He played in that game with the knee injury, so you would think he should be able to play in this game. They probably gave him some rest during the week, and that's a guy where he could take mental reps all week, and he'll be fine for game day. So I think he will play. Fingers crossed. Let's not curse this, but
yeah,
feeling all right.
I'm with you there. If I had to bet, again, I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I would bet Milano's on the field tomorrow. I'm seeing some additional folks join the show. Hey, let us know who you are. We love to meet new people. That's part of the reason why we created this channel. We want to meet new fans, whether it's Bills fans or other fans. Let us know in the comment section where you're from. Maybe you're already, we know you, but just say hello. We love to hear
Please
you.
Do.
Yeah, and chime in on the things we're discussing because we love to get your thoughts as well. All right, here. So the injury report, that pretty much Jordan Phillips is out. That is kind of a big deal as well. Yeah. He's been, I don't know. Jordan Phillips, to me, I love the guy, but since that initial groin injury, hasn't been quite the same. It's probably because he's been dealing with that the whole time, and he just hasn't gotten through it. But this time, it's a shoulder injury keeping him out this week. But that's a big loss there. But with Tim Settle And with Daquan Jones, I feel pretty good about, our interior line still. And of course, Ed Oliver,
Likewise.
the star of that show there. All right, let's move on to the Jets here. Let's take a look. They're pretty healthy. They really have Michael Clemens, and Michael Clemens didn't even warn a pitcher on the on the injury report. You know how they have a player's pitcher.
Yeah.
So he's questionable, which is interesting because he didn't practice all week. He's got an illness. Do you know who Michael Clemens is on their team?
He was a 4th-round pick for them this year. So I don't think he's going to play. I know he played for Texas A&M, but he's he's a bigger guy, 6'5", 270, Mike. So he's a bigger D end. So not bad.
All right. Well, they're pretty healthy. So, which is another reason why we want to get Matt Milano on that field. We definitely need Matt out there and help stop that running game, because they took advantage of us last time we played them. Right? That last drive that they just ran down our throats was impressive for them, sad for us. But since then, we've kind of turned things around, and having Milano and Edmonds on the field at the same time will definitely help that situation.
Yeah, that'll be major. I'm very, very happy to, and again, don't want to curse the Matt Milano thing, but would be very happy to have both Tremaine and Matt Milano for this game.
Yeah, I agree. So weather report, light rain, kickoff around 38 degrees, winds west-southwest at about 10 miles per hour. You know what scares me about Buffalo, though? You never know. I mean, here we are.
Yeah.
A little more than 24 hours away from the game, and weather can change on a dime. I mean, was there any snow this week? I know I saw some snow in the forecast for next week, right?
Yeah. There was a little bit of snow actually last night and the night before. This morning it was low 20s. Now it's back up to 40 degrees. They did say something tonight about a mix of rain and snow, so that might carry in a little bit until tomorrow morning. But yeah, it looks like at kickoff it'll just be like a light rain and high 30s. So that looks right. But again, like you said, Mike, I mean, my weather app changes like every 15 minutes. It's the craziest thing. Buffalo is like one of the most unpredictable cities for weather. I would hate to be a weatherman here. It's just impossible. Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm doing, like, when the Bills are away and I'm doing the weather check, and I'll check a couple times leading up to our show, doesn't change much. Buffalo, from one day to the next, I mean, oh my God, it's going to be five degrees colder. Oh my God, it was supposed to be no rain. Now we got rain. Oh my goodness, we got snow in the forecast. So crazy stuff. But as of right now, a little bit of rain, which definitely I think works in the Bills' favor. I'll take Josh Allen throwing in the rain over Mike White any day.
Agreed. And I will say this. So we were talking about weather. If you were wondering, all that snow that we got a few weeks ago, already gone, all melted. However, near the stadium at ECC there, that's where they were dumping all the snow. So if you have a chance, if you're at the game tomorrow, I'm sure you'll see it. There is a mountain of snow in ECC's parking lot. And I mean, you could see it probably a mile away. It looks like Mount Everest of snow. That's never going to melt. I mean, that's going to be probably next August. It might finally be down a little bit, but that is going to take a long time to melt.
Wow. I got to ask, I see Tom S. out there. Tom, are you still planning on going to the stadium and giving out flyers? Are you actually going to the game, or are you just planning on going out there to give out flyers? He's that type of person. He would just drive out to the game and give out flyers for this cause, for Baby Jack and his family. So let me know, Tom. Interested in that. All right, let's get into some stats here on the offensive side of the ball. This is where the Bills have the advantage, obviously, but it's not as, I don't know, it's not as big to me as I would have thought. So on offense, the Jets averaged 21 points per game, and that was with Zach Wilson at helm. And we saw what they did last week with Mike White. Mike White threw for 360-something yards against Minnesota. He did have 2 interceptions, which is also the same thing Josh Allen did when he played Minnesota. He threw for 2 interceptions, although Josh Allen threw for a touchdown in that game. But Josh only threw for 330 yards. So the Vikings are just that team that, bend but don't break. They're an opportunistic defense, and they make plays when they have to. But they're averaging 21 points per game. The Jets are. The Bills are averaging 27.8, which is ranked 3rd in the league. By the way, the Jets are ranked 18th with 21 points per game. I'll go down to total yards per game. On offense, the Jets are averaging 339.2 total yards per game, which is 18th in the league. The Bills are averaging 410.8 total yards per game, which is ranked second in the league. We can go through the rest. Passing yards is about a 50-yard difference for the Bills on the plus side. I have a typo on the rushing
I was going to
game.
say, wait a minute
Well,
there.
Frisching
Whoa.
15.1 rushing yards per
Is this the
game
85 Bears?
is not correct. Let me actually give you the updated number here. Man, I'll tell you what, as much as quality control that I tried to do, my goodness, is always disappointing when I make a mistake
Hey,
like
it's
that.
all good, Mike. I knew right away. I'm like, that cannot be right. That's got to be 150
So
something.
it is 115.1, and they are ranked. Let's see here, and what did I have them ranked on that one? 20th overall. So the 20th overall is correct, but it's one. Forgot one there. 115.1 rushing yards per game. The Bills are averaging 136.3 rushing yards per game, which is ranked 8th. And again, a lot of that's Josh Allen. But over the last few weeks, we're starting to see a trend. Dorsey's starting to get that run game going. So I hope that continues because I really liked what I saw last week. On the offensive side, the Jets have given up 27 sacks, and the Bills have given up 25 sacks. If you look at that right away, I say our offensive line. You would say, all right, our offensive line is better. Nope. Right away, I'm saying, no, that's a bad number for us because Josh Allen makes our offensive line look so much better because he can escape, he can extend the play, he can make plays. You're not seeing that from a Zach Wilson. And Mike White, I don't think you'll see much of that either, unless I'm wrong, Jake. Talk to me a little bit about Mike White.
Yeah. Sneaky athleticism, Mike. So maybe, but definitely not. I mean, nowhere near the athleticism that Josh Allen has. But he's a bigger guy. He's 6'5", 225-ish, around there. He looks like the creative player on Madden. Nothing crazy about him. But he's been putting up some passing numbers in terms of passing yards. His touchdowns to interceptions are a little off. It's so weird. He only has 3 passing touchdowns this year, 2 interceptions. But then for passing yards, he's averaging like 300-something yards a game. So it's just so weird to see that. And that's how it was for him even last year when he came in and played. Same type of deal. This is a guy that played at Western Kentucky under Jeff Brom, brother of former Bills quarterback Brian Brom, put up some insane numbers there. He's drafted in the 5th round by the Cowboys in 2018, ends up getting cut, signs with the Jets, gets cut, signs back with the Jets, gets cut, signs back with them on the practice squad. They elevate him. Then he finally gets his chance last year, puts up some insane numbers. He goes 1-2 as a starter. I think he still averaged 300-something yards. I think he was like 274 or something per game. But even so, I think one of those games he came in during the half, so they didn't really count it. Or they did count it when they shouldn't have, whatever, towards his average yards per game. Anyways, I think he's done a really nice job of stepping in for Zach Wilson. And it's a guy that gives the Jets a little bit of hope. It seems like he's able to move the ball downfield. I was a little perplexed as to why they didn't go back to Joe Flacco because he started the year off, and I thought he played pretty well. And obviously having a veteran guy like that who has done it with a good defense and has won a Super Bowl using that recipe back with the Ravens in 2012, I was a little surprised to see Robert Saleh elect to go with Mike White. But I think he's done a really solid job. He's 1-1 as a starter, almost won against the Vikings last week, but came up just a bit short. So he's a guy that could be a little dangerous, and he's got a nice connection going with Garrett Wilson. He's got those receivers catching catching balls, and Corey Davis has played pretty well with him too. And they're getting Michael Carter back this game too. So I think there's a lot of things that he can do, where might exploit the Bills a little bit. So we got to get to him. We got to put some pressure on him, make him make some dumb mistakes. And I think that's definitely a key for us to, stop him because it's not going to be easy. He's a decent quarterback. He's not bad at all.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, these numbers here, like I said, has all been pretty much with Zach Wilson behind the helm and whoever else. Did Mike White play earlier in the season when Wilson missed time?
No. So that was Joe Flacco. Yeah, he started the year off. Did decent, and that's why I'm surprised.
It is surprising because he's got good weapons. He's got a good run game behind Flacco. So Flacco is the guy's a statue back there, right? He's a sitting duck for the most part. And in today's game, you obviously want to have somebody who can extend the play, maybe run and get a first down that way. So I think that would be the only reason. I mean, he is a Super Bowl winner, Mr. Flacco. So
right.
It is right. They do. I think that's the only reason. Just they want someone a little more athletic. But let me ask you this: Mike White, Ryan Fitzpatrick. similar a little bit. Gunslingers always throw the interception when you don't want them to, though.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see the comparisons for sure. Yeah, both
Because
played for the
he's a
Jets.
gunslinger.
Yeah,
He, he
yeah, he
he
is.
was slinging it last week against Minnesota, and honestly, I had to step away from that game. I fully expected the Jets to come back and win because
I did
every
too.
time I was watching that game, they had the ball, they were driving, they were stopping the Vikings, and of course they come up short, and he threw those two interceptions, which was the difference in the game.
Yeah.
So,
Hey,
yeah,
let's talk about that quick. How
yeah,
lucky were we last week? It was nice. We got a win Thursday. We can kind of coast into
true,
the
true.
weekend.
How could we not talk about that?
We weren't expecting a lot of those teams that we needed to get wins. You know, you had the Vikings and Jets. The Jets and the Vikings have been a little suspect lately. They've been letting up these comebacks and they've been in close games. And of course, we thought for a second that the Jets were going to come back and win that game. Luckily, they didn't. So it starts off with the Vikings win. Then, of course, you have the other teams, the Dolphins and the 49ers going at it. 49ers absolutely stomped on the Dolphins, and that was a beautiful thing to see. It was nice to see, and I actually really do like Tua a lot. I like Tua. I think he's a good quarterback. He's done a lot. He's shown some improvement this year, and obviously the Dolphins have things to be proud of, and obviously pound their chest about a little bit. So especially with Tyreek Hill, who's just insane. But how nice was it to see them take a big loss to the 49ers? That was awesome. And especially when they had Jimmy G go down in that game, you were a little concerned, probably thinking the Dolphins were going to come back and win that. So great to see that. And then, of course, Cincinnati pulls it out against KC. Man, I mean, that game should have been flexed to prime time over the Colts and what was it? Colts and Cowboys on Monday night. My God, that was an absolute train wreck to watch. Or I'm sorry, Sunday night. That was an absolute train wreck to watch. The Colts were close in that game, but the Bengals Chiefs game should have been the Sunday night game. That would have been even more satisfying watching them win on Sunday night, but we'll take it. All three teams we needed to win won. The Bills are back on top. So just had to mention that.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you did. We should have talked about that earlier. Talking about flexing, haven't the Bills been flexed here against the Dolphin game? Is that I believe it's a Saturday
night
game? It's the nightcap.
That's right.
So who would have thought in the season? So one of our members, Jules Marie, I know she's going to be at that game, but who would have thought earlier in the season that game would be so important? And again, a lot will have to do with.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, a lot will depend on what happens this weekend. But we literally could be for the AFC East. That game could be.
Right.
So it's going to be a huge game, and so let's see here. We talked about the flex. We talked about us getting back. So I want to go back to that a little bit. On the AFC side, yes, we are the number one in the AFC, the number one seed right now. If the season was to end, we would have that bye week. We would be the top seed. It's not going to be easy to hold on to that. There are 5 games left. Kansas City, if you look at their schedule, they have one of the easiest schedule for the last 5 games. I think the only tough team really left for them, if you want to consider them a tough team, is Seattle. If I'm kind of like a little nauseous when I say that. At the beginning of the year, with them trading away Russell Wilson, you would not expected them to be competitive at all, but they have been. So that could be a tough game for them. But that's it. On our side, we got to play the Jets. We got to play the Dolphins. We got to play Cincinnati in Cincinnati, the same team. And by the way, the Bengals are on a tear right now.
Yeah.
They're tied in their division with the Ravens. They're 8-4. And before this is all said and done, who knows? They could be the top seed, which is crazy. Yeah. So it's not going to be easy for us. I truly believe, one of the guys, Tony, on our channel, he thinks if we can go 4-1, we would win it, be the top seed. But I don't believe so. I think we're going to have to run the table. And again, I just want us to win the East. Let's win the East first. And then if the top seed happens to come along with that, fantastic. But I know, what's your thoughts? I mean, do you think we can afford another loss and still get lucky? I don't think so.
No, absolutely not. Not with how good the Bengals and even still the Chiefs have been playing. And then the Dolphins, of course, just sneaking up on us. They're one game behind us right now. So the Jets, too. I mean, they're 7-5, 7-6, 7-5. So, yeah, I mean, every game is a must win, and you just got to take it one week at a time. I know it's hard to not think about the future, but Yeah, I know the Bills, they're very well grounded in just not even thinking about the next week. They're always focused on that week. So I guess that's a good thing. Sean McDermott has been very good with that. So I know we're going to be ready for this game tomorrow. I think it's going to be a different story, which, um, you know, that'll be good.
Yeah.
It'll be a good start.
So Tom says, yeah, he's going to drive to the stadium and hand out
It's
flyers,
amazing.
then drive home, and so he doesn't miss kickoff. That is amazing. Seriously,
Yeah.
he's going to go out to the game, hand out flyers about Baby Jack. And by the way, he created these flyers, and it's got a little QR code on it, which is really nice. You put your phone on it. Obviously, it takes you to the donation site. Real simple. Again, the link is in the description of this video of this show. And basically, please, any amount you can donate, we greatly appreciate it. It's for Baby Jack and his family. Baby Jack is fighting cancer, and we're raising money for that family to help them with their mortgage payment, their rent payment, utility bills, whatever it is they need. So appreciate you, Tom. That's amazing. And I know Tom or one of the other Toms, they've got food trucks posting the flyer. It's incredible. It's incredible. These guys have a real, I was telling them, they have a career in fundraising in the future.
Absolutely, they do. Yeah,
these are guys that I want on my team always,
sure.
no matter what the cause. These are guys that I want on our team. And Tom says, Mike, your press pass has been delivered. Should get you get to that press pass is for Jake. Let's get it to him. He's right there in Buffalo. Jake, you can meet him, and you guys aren't that far apart. And again, I'm waiting for the day that you guys set up dinner. You should get both Toms.
I would love that.
Go to somewhere and have some amazing beef on weck or some chicken wings.
So I think they're both in the North Town. So I would like to go to Wing Nuts, which is located on Niagara Falls Boulevard. I haven't been there yet, and I've heard amazing things about it. People say it rivals Bar Bill and some of those other great wing establishments here in Buffalo. So I need to try it, and I haven't been there just yet. So need to get out there. So we'll have to set something up, Mike. We'll send you a picture. Wish you could be there, but at least you'll get a picture of it.
Yeah. Make me hungry. I'll be like, damn, it's time to go back to Buffalo again.
Yeah.
Let's go. All right, let's get into the defense. Now, this is where the Jets have the advantage. Jets playing fantastic defense. They are giving up 18.6 points per game. They are one of only two teams that have kept the Bills under 20 points this season. Obviously, in that loss, 2017. They are incredible defense. They're ranked 6th, believe it or not. We are only giving up 17.4, but that was because of the great start we got off to. And obviously, we had a good game against the Patriots last week, keeping them to 10. We're ranked 4th. In total yards given up per game on defense, the Jets are giving up 307 yards, which is ranked 4th. We are giving up 320 yards per game, and that's ranked 10th. And this, again, in today's game, when I see these numbers, both the Bills, passing yards per game, the Jets are giving up 194.3 passing yards per game. In a day and age where it's all about the pass, they're giving up less than 200 yards, which is our bread and butter, our passing game on offense. So they did a great job against Josh Allen last time. Josh, I don't have the stats. Do you remember? I think there was a couple critical interceptions in this game as well. I know Sauce Gardner had one, I believe.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken there. But anyhow, they're giving up 194 yards passing yards per game. We're giving up 218 passing yards per game. And then, of course, against the run, they're giving up 112 rushing yards per game. We're giving up 101.8. And they have 36 sacks on the season. The Bills, only 31. 8 of those are Von Miller. Take Von Miller out of the picture, got 23 sacks. So that's another, it comes back to Von Miller again. I'm like, man, when you think about what he was brought here for last year, what was the problem our defense had, Jake?
It was getting to the quarterback, just getting home, making the play. It was always this close. And Von came in and he was getting sacks. He was, getting to the quarterback and making an impact and making big plays when we needed him most. In fact, in the last Jets game, he almost was that game changer again because he sort of, he forced a fumble and he obviously flipped the momentum a little bit there. So, I think obviously he's going to be missed for sure. But I know he's going to be out there coaching these guys up. So, as much as his presence is certainly felt on the field just from the physicality and, just being the dominant player he is, I do still think that there's an impact for him to make just being there in the presence of these guys, not necessarily even playing on the field, but just being on the sideline.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. But you can see the Jets have 36 sacks, and they get home. They get home. And Josh Allen had to do a lot of Josh Allen magic in that first game against them when he had to extend a lot of plays. And I kind of expect the same. I mean, it's big that Deion Dawkins will be back at tackle. But, and of course, we have Mitch Morse. Mitch Morse is so good. I mean, having him at center, he had missed a couple games. I think he was there in that game against the Jets.
Yeah.
But anyhow, super important to have that offensive line playing at high level tomorrow, and that again starts with Deion Dawkins, who's an All-Pro. So I'm not so worried on that side as long as that. Was it an ankle for Dawkins? I forget.
Yep,
was it
that's
ankle?
right. Yeah,
Ankles scare me because
Yeah,
they can be
tough.
tweaked easily. Like look what happened to Quessenberry.
Yeah,
My God, last week the first play of the game he re-injured it, and believe it or not, I don't know how Quessenberry was able to get in practice, and he's going to be active for tomorrow.
it's insane. The guy could barely stand up. I mean,
Right.
he couldn't even kick slide or anything. It
Makes
crazy.
you wonder. Makes you wonder how some guys are like, really? How can you not be playing? And here's this Quessenberry dude who looks like he should have been put on IR for at least 4 weeks. And here he is. He's back active again.
He's a different breed, Mike. He really is.
He is. All right,
And it's interesting, too, just one more thing to say about sacks and talking about O-line and stuff, and obviously benefiting from having Mitch Morse and our interior coming back a little bit. Quentin Williams is their leading sacker. He's got 9 sacks this season. He's been incredible all year long. I think he is probably, I would say, in terms of defensive tackles in the league, he's probably right up there with Jeffrey Simmons and the Aaron Donalds. He's right in the mix there as one of those top 3 D tackles in the league. He's been so damn good this year. And for a D tackle to have 9 sacks, Mike, in 12 games, that's
incredible.
super impressive. Yeah.
I want to follow up a question. So I asked you earlier, is the Bills defense without Von Miller better than they were last year? And we came to the conclusion that, yes, we think they're slightly better with the upgrades at the interior line, with having Trey White back, even though Micah Hyde's out, and with the upgraded play of our linebackers. They've always been good, but they've even gone to the next level. I'm going to ask you the same question about the offense because, honestly, let's talk about this a little bit before we get in our key matchups. I meant to ask you this earlier. We felt going into the season that this offensive line was going to be amazing, incredible, like a big upgrade from last year. Turns out, at least up until now, I haven't seen that. I don't know if would I put them at the same level as last year? Maybe. I don't think they're better. I don't think they're better than last year. So the question to you is this offense better right now? If we were going to that 13-second game tomorrow, is this offense better than it was last year, and why?
That's a really hard question. I think we have better weapons and we can be better, but I don't think I'm ready to say that we are a better offense. And I think it's just a matter of us delivering and executing better. And that starts with Ken Dorsey with his play calling. I think he's been good and very bad at times, especially in the red zone where he's just been way too obvious. Last week we saw a lot of improvement. We saw some creativity. I love the pre-snap motion that he used. I think we got to see more of that because that'll help Josh out so much. Josh has had to play hero ball more this year, I think, than any other year in the past. And you start to see mistakes and they add up. And this team offensively gets worn down. We don't have that safe blanket guy. Like, love him or hate him, Cole Beasley was huge for us last year. I mean, he even caught 8 balls in that last game against the Chiefs. So to lose a guy that you could just throw the underneath pass to, and it didn't matter where it was, he would go out, he would put his body on the line every single time, every damn play. Dude played with a broken fibula, for Christ's sake. I mean, he's out there grinding every single play. We don't have a guy like that. I do think we can work someone into the mix to be that guy. I think Isaiah McKenzie really, he's a different player, but like we can scheme him in to be that guy that goes across the middle and does more with the ball after the catch because he's so fast. He's way faster than Cole Beasley. He might not have the same routes. He might not be the same level of grittiness per se, but I think what he can do with the ball is so much more explosive and it's different. And I just think it's a matter of working those guys into the game. I mean, where's Dawson Knox been? Like, this is a guy that is the 5th or 6th highest paid tight end in the league. And we're just not utilizing him. Like I thought, Mike, he was going to be one of the top fantasy tight ends this year, a top 5 fantasy tight end. And of course, fantasy only goes so far. But like, even so, even in the red zone, you'd like to see some more work with him. Like, he's a guy that can go up and get it. He makes these tremendous athletic catches. And even against the Chiefs, he showed what he can do. Like, just throw it up to the guy. Like, he'll come down with it. And of course, one of his biggest issues in the past was dropping the easy ones. Well, he doesn't even have a chance to drop the easy ones because we're not throwing it to him. So I don't understand what the lack of usage with Dawson Knox has been, but I think that is something that will help us in the future to become a better offense. So we need guys like Dawson Knox, Isaiah McKenzie, even Khalil Shakir, because now we're down to 4 receivers basically, Mike. You lose we cut Marquez Stevenson. We do have John Brown. I think he will probably be elevated for this game as well. But technically, I looked at the active roster right now, and we have Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, Isaiah McKenzie, and Khalil Shakir. After that, it's wide open. I mean, Tanner Gentry's on the practice squad. John Brown's technically still on the practice squad. So what are we going to do there? Like, are we going to utilize the tight ends more? I think there needs to be more of that. There needs to be that safe blanket guy, and that's the biggest piece that we're missing this year. We've been talking about it the last few weeks. So to me, I think the offense is not as good. I know that was a long-winded answer. That was a long-winded approach.
No, I love it. That's what I wanted you to do, because you get into the details, and that's what we need to hear.
For sure.
So a couple note points on what you said. So I asked Aaron Cromer for a refund because you sold me on him. I bought into it.
Yeah, right.
And I haven't seen the fruits of that. So I said I got a refund on that one. So I don't know what happened there. You really sold him, and that Saffold. We thought Saffold was going to be a huge ad. And, his pass blocking. You think about it now, Jake, and I don't know how we missed this. When you think about it, we're all excited that he's a great run blocker. And to some degree, that's still true. I mean, he's definitely better in the run blocking. But where he struggles is the pass blocking. And what are we? We are a passing team. Mm-hmm. So, and then who else did we add that we were really excited about? Quessenberry was more of a depth thing.
Re-signing Ryan Bates. I mean, we were big on that.
Ryan Bates was a big one.
Yeah,
Ryan Bates was a big one.
Spencer Brown, we thought there was going to be more development from him. Like, he was our best offensive lineman last year at one point, and we were relying on this rookie right tackle. Yeah. And now this year it's been a total reversal for him. Of course, he was banged up to start the year off. I think the back surgery really has held him back. He's a great run blocker. I really do think he is. Improved even in the run game. But for pass blocking, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just a matter of him not getting back fast enough or just getting beat off the ball right off the bat. But I think it's a combination of everything, to be honest. But yeah, he hasn't delivered there. So obviously you want to see some improvement there.
Yeah. And then Dawson Knox, like you mentioned it, I think we're paying him $14 million a year. It's like, to me, that's on Dorsey. I know they're using him more in blocking schemes, but that's on Dorsey, 100% on Dorsey. You got to use Knox. Knox is an athletic tight end. He's not like some guy who is just mostly there for blocking. This guy can catch the ball. We saw it last year. He can make plays. We saw it in some games, very, very few games this season where they decided to throw him the ball. So I don't know what's going on there. Definitely need to get him utilized more. And again, I put that all on Dorsey.
Yeah, and that's a guy too. Like, you throw him the short pass, you throw him a 3-yard pass. That's a guy that's going to run you over and get those extra yards.
Exactly.
Like, he is determined to get that first down every time. So give him a shot. You got to work him into the offense, especially this game against the Jets. I think it's very important.
Yeah, I do think they're just starting to try to get the running backs more involved. They had Hines on the field a lot more last week. Obviously, Cook was in there. And what I liked about Cook is they were throwing him. The Bills in years past with Dable, they like to throw that little screen pass a lot to Singletary. But now, you got the check down. You got the guy, at least when he's catching the ball, Cook, last week, he's gaining 4 yards. When you
Yeah,
throw the screen
right.
pass, it's a hit or miss whether you're going to gain anything. But when you're throwing it at least 4 or 5 yards, that's a good gain. And I see that they were doing more of that last week. And I hope that continues. And they were trying to work in Hines, which we all wanted that. That
Yes.
guy is the fastest dude on the team. Let's get him involved. So, again, no Dawson. It's like, where are you at, Dawson? By the way, we do appreciate you being part of the punt organization. So
Absolutely.
thank you for that, of course. And it's not your fault. I'm not calling out Dawson Knox. I'm calling out Dorsey. Get him the ball. And as you mentioned, Beasley, that chemistry he had with Josh Allen in the hands. Beasley had, and the dude can catch everything.
Yeah.
The guy was a short dude, and Josh Allen would throw 110-mile-an-hour fastballs.
5 yards out.
5 yards out, and
what
he
the
would
heck?
just, with his hands,
Yeah.
snag it like it was nothing. That is incredible and very difficult to do. He could do it. Steph Diggs can do it as well. Diggs impresses me all the time when Josh Allen throws him a fastball. My only problem with Diggs, get rid of the mouth guard.
I think
I
it's
mean,
psychological,
it
Mike. He
irritates
needs
the
it
hell out of
there.
me now.
I know, because he doesn't wear it. I think it's a
never wears it.
psychological thing. Yeah, I think he just needs to see it in front of his face. And it's like one of those things where you don't want to, maybe you're a little superstitious. You don't want to mess with that. So you just leave it.
It's just hanging there. And I feel there was a game not that long ago where, because Josh threw him a pass and he dropped it.
Yeah.
And that thing fell. And,
Yeah.
and it was like bright yellow. And I'm like, that's got to be a distraction at times.
Right.
So, Stefan, if you're listening to this, just ditch it, or tell me why
I don't know,
you
though.
need
He's
it
been
there.
playing pretty well with it. So I'm good with him keeping
Jake,
it for now.
you're running all over the field. That thing's got to be snapping and hitting your helmet. I mean,
Oh, yeah. Well, on top of that, too, I look at it this way. Maybe it's also a thing where it could disguise as almost like a face mask. Because if a guy grabs your mouthpiece, maybe it looks like, maybe that's in his mind where he can get an easy face mask.
That's another thing that a defender can just grab on the way down. Let me
True.
grab that mouthpiece. I
That's
think
true.
they're made that they come off pretty easily, but still,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. It's a pet peeve. I see it now all the time. I'm like,
I know.
dude, put it in your mouth
Yeah.
and just get rid of it.
Right.
All right, good stuff there. So I think the answer was from you. We're just not as good yet as last
That's
year.
correct. We can be. I think we have.
I
the
think we
potential
can
to
be. For me, I'm gonna agree with you. I think we can be better as well. Get Knox more involved, get those running backs going, and I think we can be as good, if not better. But don't get me wrong. All said and done, this offense can win a Super Bowl.
Oh,
the
yeah.
way they are right now, they absolutely can. I do feel there's been an adjustment throughout the league. Defenses always catch up with offenses eventually. And I do feel there's been an adjustment, and a lot of teams are now making sure that they can get home with 4. Hell, look what the Bengals did against KC. They
Right.
rushed 3, dropped
Yeah.
8. And of course, there was just nobody open for Mahomes to throw. So a lot of teams now who can get home with 4 or even 3 can drop all those people in coverage, making it very difficult for that passing game. And that's why I think we're seeing these defensive numbers, keeping teams under 200. They're making you work hard, making you work for every yard down the field. And their hope is that you'll make a mistake. And we've seen that happen plenty of times this year.
Yeah, I mean, you looked at the statistics. The Jets were allowing 194 point whatever yards per game, and they were still 6th or 4th in yards allowed. Like, that's in the modern NFL. Quarterback numbers definitely are down this year, and there's obviously a reason for that. As you mentioned, Mike, a lot of these teams are just playing that cover 2 shell. They sit too high, and it's like they get there with 4 or 3 or whatever. They're not rushing 5. They're not blitzing. They're not sending extra guys. They're just sitting back and hopefully getting home and getting some pressure on the quarterback and making him make mistakes. It's been a recipe this year for a lot of teams.
So you brought up a good point. Pressure, right? Getting pressure and bringing more than 4. The Bills definitely typically just bring 4, which is good. With Von Miller, they've been able to do that. Without Von Miller, do you think we start blitzing a little bit more?
Saw a couple blitzes last week, actually. So maybe. I think it's certainly an option, especially against a younger quarterback and a team that I think can be exploited in that sense. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some of that, but you don't want to get carried away either. I think obviously if you can get there with 4, get there with 4. So, but I think we will start seeing some more blitzes just because Von, he was able to wreak havoc. I mean, just him alone, he would make plays, and he would make plays when he wasn't supposed to make plays. So yeah, I definitely think we will see a little bit more of that.
All right, I have to agree there. I mean, they, like you said, they have been sprinkling in the blitz every now and then, but they're one of the teams that blitz the least.
Yep.
And I think we can, when you lose a Von Miller, how can you get more pressure? Obviously, that's one way to get more pressure. But I think they'll sprinkle it in, and we've seen that. And they usually are pretty good about when they bring it. And with Mike White, I think that's a guy because, again, he's a gunslinger. He's not like Zach Wilson, who was just dumping the ball off. He's a gunslinger. You get pressure on him. Pressure might be good enough. Look, we didn't even talk about it. We played Mike White last year, and we destroyed Mike White last year. This is a different team, though, this year. So let's throw that out the door.
And this is last year. They were about to crown him as like the savior of the Jets, like the guy that was going to be the next quarterback there. So kind of in a similar situation this year, because obviously Zach Wilson is he's a healthy scratch. He's been inactive the last few games, and I think they're riding that Mike White train a little bit right now. So it's kind of a similar situation.
Yeah. I do want to shout out to Randy, who was a Jets fan. It was on our last show here. He actually had hip surgery. He's doing well. But I made the decision not to bring any opposing teams on the show this time because I feel it jinxes. It's a superstitious thing. But we lost that game. I'm like, I'm not bringing it back this show. Yeah. But he and his son did a fantastic job.
We had to eat crow after that one. Holy cow.
We absolutely did. Yeah, Tom, we'll mention that real quick. We are a huge, not only are we Buffalo Bills fans, but if you grow up in Buffalo, you are a Sabre fan. Yeah. And they Tage Thompson the other night had 5 goals in one game. I think there was 4 in one period.
Yes.
He got 4 in the first period.
So we scored Tage 6 Thompson. Goals in the first period of that game. Yeah. I mean, Sabres are the highest scoring team in the NHL right now, but the record doesn't really show for it. If we had a legitimate goaltender, I think we'd be so damn good. But I think they're certainly up and coming. It's good to have 2 Buffalo teams that are more relevant, So definitely on our way up.
I talked to my dad last night, and because I got to watch the game. It was on out here, and it was an exciting game. We actually got a point out of it, and he said it was not so much the goaltender. And Jake, he's blaming the young defensemen. They still need to get a little better on defense, but it is exciting, like you said, that are one of the top power play teams out there. They're one of the top offensive teams, like you said. They're putting up points. They're putting in goals. And it's fun to watch. So it's not going to be that much longer before this team turns it around and becomes a playoff contender again. So exciting things on the horizon for the Buffalo Sabres. I know Tom's a huge fan. And again, in our Discord channel, we talk about the Buffalo Sabres. So come join us. The link to join our Discord is also in the description of the show. So we talked about a lot. I've been on this slide for a long time. But Jake, we haven't talked in a long time. And I feel like it's good that we get everything covered.
Of course.
Because a lot happened since that last Thursday night game. And I think we've finally caught up on everything that has happened. But let's get into the key matchups of the game for you, and then I'll follow you up.
Yeah, I would say my key matchups are our corners against their receivers. Last time we played the Jets, we did not have Trey White. I thought we did a really nice job, of course, stopping the pass, kind of eliminating that altogether. But they made some key plays and key moments, especially with Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson and Mike White have a really nice connection right now. And Garrett Wilson has kind of put his hat in the ring for Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's kind of put himself in those conversations. Obviously Kenny Walker's played extremely well. There's been a couple other guys that have played well this year, but Garrett Wilson's got 790 receiving yards this year, and he's had some big games over the last few. So it says my battery's running low. I might want to plug in my PC, so I'll be quick on this, and then I'm going to go get my charger over there, Mike. But I think that is certainly something to focus on is obviously watching our defensive backs play against their receivers. And we talked about it earlier. Kaiir Elam, is he going to play? Because I think in a game like this where it is physical, it would be good to have that extra physicality with Kaiir Elam. Xavier Rhodes, bigger corner too, so I think he could play pretty well in the run game. So that is definitely one of my key matchups for us defensively against their offense. I was going to go a different route, but I'm going to go corners versus receivers, Bills corners versus Jets receivers, because they got some weapons offensively and they're moving the ball downfield, throwing for a lot of yards, catching for a lot of yards. On the other side of things, I think it's our offensive line. Are we going to show up with Deion Dawkins coming back? I think it obviously helps us, but interior wise, this is a game where we got to dominate up front. It's going to be physical. Quinnen Williams is an absolute mammoth out there. He's so freaking good. They got some really good players on that defense. And I mean, they came and played against us. They out-physicaled us on both sides of the ball the last time we played against each other. So, I mean, just a couple of guys. Their second leading sacker on the team, Carl Lawson.
Oh, Jake just lost power. So let me get with my key matchups of the game, and he kind of stole my thunder there. I am definitely all about the corners, but I'm talking corners on both sides, both teams. For instance, against the Jets, right? Last time, they did a pretty good job on Diggs. Other than that first pass where Diggs put a nice move on Gardner and had a nice 40, 45-plus yard touchdown, or not touchdown, but a nice pass completion, they pretty much shut him down, but that was more because Reed on the other side started watching Diggs more, and they were kind of bracketing him. They were doubling Diggs. And let me get that name wrong, but I might have that name wrong on the other side of their second corner. But they put their second corner, who's also having a fantastic year, and they were able to bracket him and do a good job on Diggs. So I'm thinking the corners, our receivers against their corners. I want to see us do a better job than last game. I want to see Gabe Davis get over those dropsies that he's been having. And we need to, there he is. Let me bring him back in here.
Well, I told you my laptop was going to die, so I apologize for that. I thought I had like a few more minutes there. This thing, it says, it said I had 22 minutes left, and then it says you might want to consider plugging your PC. And I'm like, okay, so I'll just wait a second. I'll get through.
You and Sean are funny. Both of you guys always bring that cord and have your computer connected, because Sean has the same problem. He's like, oh, my computer is about to go out.
I'm usually so good with that, and I have my thing always plugged in, but I'm like, this is at full capacity. We'll be fine. Yeah. For whatever reason, it went down real fast today. So
Jake, I was saying you stole my thunder, because for me it's all about the cornerbacks. And correct me, I know there's Sauce Gardner. Is it Reed on the who's on the other side?
That's right.
So I have the name right.
They have another Michael Carter on defense, who is their fifth-round pick. It's funny, they had a fourth-round pick in Michael Carter in 2021. Their fifth-round pick, also Michael Carter. He's their slot corner. Pretty good player as well.
Yeah, so what I was saying is last game against Diggs, they did a really good job. Other than that opening 40-plus yard catch that Diggs had, he put in a great move on Gardner. Yeah. And then they kind of switched it up, though. Most of the game, it was Reed and some additional help on Diggs, and they kind of shut him down the rest of the game. And whereas Gardner was watching Gabe most of the game. And they did a fantastic job. So I feel like it's the corners, their corners against our receivers. And then I also think it's going to be our corners, like you said, against the receivers. So for me, it's completely all about the cornerback play against the wide receivers, because I don't know if they had Corey Davis last time we played them. I don't know. He was out. So Corey Davis and Garrett Wilson, those are some really, and they're both young. Davis has been in the league, he's 4 or 5 years maybe, came over from Tennessee. He is an absolute stud when he's healthy. He's had a lot of injuries. But him on the field with Garrett Wilson, we saw what Garrett Wilson did last time. Anytime Zach Wilson needed a completion, he just threw it up to Garrett Wilson, and Garrett made the play. Different story this game. We have Trey. It'll be interesting. It's going to be fun to see who gets the assignment. Again, we're not a team that has a corner that just follows one receiver. They typically play their side of the field. But we'll see. We'll definitely see some Trey White against Garrett Wilson. And then who's on that other side will be interesting. So for me, the key matchups, it's all about the cornerbacks on both sides, on both teams against the receivers. So
I agree. Yeah, I think, and that's something to be mentioned too, is it was Zach Wilson against us last time. Now you have Mike White, who is a much better passing quarterback than Zach Wilson, in my opinion. Right now, he's just more developed. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how we play against that. And, he's a gunslinger. He's going to throw the ball up there. He's going to give those guys chances to make plays. And we've seen the number one receivers for teams over the last 3 weeks really make some bigger plays against us. It was pretty refreshing last week against New England, because we didn't really have that. I think we just totally neutralized that passing game altogether. But before that, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Justin Jefferson, you talk about even with Green Bay. I mean, they had Christian Watkins go up and make some catches against us. I mean, those number one receivers were absolutely killing us. So now Trey White's back. We've looked better, obviously, in the pass defense. So definitely going to be a good one.
Yeah, totally agree. Let's see here. I only have one follow-up question for you.
Yeah.
Jake, who is our number 2 cornerback right now? Who is the number 2 guy? If they're all healthy, Xavier Rhodes, Dane Jackson, Kaiir Elam, Christian Benford when he comes back. Who's the number 2 guy? We've seen Dane Jackson struggle, right?
Yeah.
When you say, we've been getting lit up, he was a big part of that. And I think he is the main guy that was getting lit up. Again, it's not like he was off. I mean, he had decent coverage, but I feel like he's never looking back. And a lot of the 50-50 balls were always going the other way. So who is that number 2 guy in your opinion? If you had to make that decision, they're all healthy, all 4 of the guys I just mentioned. Who are you starting at number 2?
Personally, I think Kaiir Elam should be. And then you sprinkle Xavier Rhodes in. And, I think tomorrow we're going to really learn how the Bills feel about Kaiir Elam. If he's a healthy scratch again, Mike, that's when you may start having to ask some questions and starting to wonder what the hell's going on. Like, is it more than football? Is it something that, he did to the organization even? I mean, like, what is it,
Yeah.
So yeah. I think for me, you roll with Kaiir Elam. He played pretty well last game against the Jets, so why not, Yeah. And then you sprinkle Xavier Rhodes in. That's my thought on that.
Yeah, I agree. Both Kaiir and Xavier are bigger corners, right? I think Kaiir is at least 6 foot, right? 6'1"?
Yeah, he's 6'1". He's 6'1". long, 6'1",
yeah.
200 something. Yeah.
Yeah, same with Xavier Rhodes. And Kaiir in his 40, if I remember at the combine, he ran like a 4.38. The dude is fast.
Yeah.
And he played in college a lot of press coverage. Mm-hmm. And I love that about him. And we've seen him play press coverage a lot this year. And so I'm hoping, if it was me, I agree with you, Jake, it would be Kaiir. I think Dane Jackson, who was number 2, in my opinion, has fallen back.
I agree. Yeah. So, and I like Dane. I think he has, obviously it's nice because he has the starting experience, but that's a guy now we don't have to force him to be a starting corner for our team. We can sprinkle him in as well. So it's nice to finally start getting healthy. You imagine when we get Christian Benford back, like that'll be a great corner room for sure.
We don't talk about this other guy. Yeah, Christian Benford's been fantastic. I'm super happy when he comes back. But another guy we don't talk about who's pretty damn good is Cam Lewis. Cam Lewis doesn't get a lot of talk, but when we had to have him fill in at safety, I thought he did a good job. Other than that, it was in that Minnesota game, and he was involved in that fourth and
21
or something like that.
And
he was right there. All he had to do was knock the ball down, but instead he went for the catch. But still, that was just Jefferson making an incredible play. I mean, anyhow, but Cam Lewis, again, we have so many good corners. It's crazy. And then we have a guy that can play corner or safety. Mm-hmm. It's good to be in that situation. So, right? Can't be.
Hey, and don't forget your guy, TJ Mike, Taron Johnson. I mean, we didn't even talk about him.
We don't talk about TJ. Oh, my God. How can I forget about Taron Johnson?
Their slot guy is Elijah Moore, and they like to use him a lot in the pre-snap motion. They have another guy, Braxton Berrios, very similar, a guy that can, take the ball on sweeps and reverses and stuff like that. So they get those guys involved a lot in the screen game, too. So certainly a matchup to key in on is Taron Johnson versus those slot guys. He didn't play so well. He hasn't been playing extremely well, I think, up to his standards even this year. He's had his moments of struggle as well.
Yeah, it's funny how we always talk about the other corners and we forget about him. I guess it's just because he just does a good job. I mean, right. Yeah, he's a lock. I'm never ever going to question benching the guy. The only time I ever question anything with Taron Johnson is I'd like to get the Bills out of the base defense sometimes and play that third linebacker. That's it. But Taron Johnson, guy's a physical dude. He gets in there. He's not the biggest guy, but he gets in there, takes on anybody. He's not afraid to get in there and tackle. They blitz him. He does a fantastic job against slot receivers. And I would say I agree with you to some degree. I feel his play's been down a little bit, and I don't know. That could be a combination of the other rookie corners that are playing out there as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Hey, I see Big L out there. Big L, Good to see you, man.
Probably just woke up from a nap, to be honest.
Probably, I know. I know you and Jake are out early in the morning, and good to see you. I think you'll see a lot of Elam for the rest of the season. Yeah, we've been talking about a lot about Kaiir, and we fully expect him to be active tomorrow. And we were just saying if he's not, something's going on that we're not aware of.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I hope we see more Kaiir Elam than we saw deer this morning. That's for sure.
Good stuff. All right, let's get into our predictions for the game. And I want a score prediction. And in the channel, those that are out there, there's a few of you. Give us your score predictions and give us some bold predictions. Some bold prediction like Devin Singletary is going to rush for 200 yards. Something crazy. Wow. Give us a bold prediction.
That would be something.
Let me throw it to you, Jake.
Yeah, so I think for score prediction, I'm not going to go crazy like I have in the past. The initial game against the Jets, I think I had like 31-13 or something, Bills. I think, maybe it's less conservative, but it's still more conservative than usual. But I think the Bills are going to have control of this game for the most part. It's at home. We have Trey White back, Mike, and I think we're just going to see a lot of good things this game. It's going to be a very clean game of football for once, and it's going to be against a good, stout Jets defense, but we're going to win the physicality battle this time around. There's no way we're going to get swept, not with Josh Allen under the helm. So I think with all that being said, it's going to be 27-13 Bills. So we win by double digits. I feel like it's going to be close going into the fourth quarter, and then we're going to score a tough, gutsy fourth quarter touchdown, and it's going to be to my guy, Dawson Knox, who I was talking about earlier. We're going to finally throw him a red zone ball, a jump ball. He's going to come down with it, and that'll seal the deal. So I think it's going to be 27-13 Bills. As far as bold predictions go, this might sound really dumb, but I think Nyheim Hines finally gets into the pot of positive yards for rushing on the season once this game is all said and done. Right now, he's at negative something. He's actually rivaling Reggie Bush right now for negative yards in the season. So, yeah, I think that's definitely one of my bold predictions. Another one, a more real, like a more of a bold prediction, if you will. I think AJ Epinesa has 2.5 sacks. I feel like he's going to have a really big day. Him and Groot, I think, will both have a big day. But I feel like AJ Epinesa has a little more to prove, and I think he's gonna really shine. So 2.5 sacks for AJ Epinesa.
All right. For me, I'm like you. I'm not. You say you don't go big, but you still have us winning by double digits.
Yeah, 27-13. But I feel like that's not super
double
crazy.
Digit.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I hope it's like that because if you look at that Patriot game, if you look at the score, 24-10. It's not like we come to expect our team to blow people out by 20 or more. And a lot of you, I'm not saying me, a lot of you and others on our channel have put some big numbers out there. If we're going to drop 40, we're going to drop 35. For me, it's going to be another close one. I do feel we come out on the winning side. It's funny, Jake. Have we said it all this year that we're going to come out on the losing side?
No, because we should win every game. Seriously.
We should. And those 3 games we lost, you could argue that we could have won all 3 of them, and we'd be undefeated right now. But I think it's a close game. Again, this defense is good enough to keep them in the game. I think there's an improvement from last game. They don't have, even though Zach Wilson didn't make any mistakes, which is what they needed, now they get a guy who may make a few more mistakes, but he's also more of a passer. And I think that's going to be a big improvement over the last time. And with both Corey Davis and Garrett Wilson healthy, it's going to be a fun game. Let's just put it that way. I have the Bills coming out on top 24-20. And for my bold predictions, I'm going to give it back because we didn't talk about TJ Taron Johnson. I'm going to say he gets a pick 6.
Oh, let's go. Bring it back. Run it back to last year. Every game you would make that prediction.
Yeah, I did, right? He's due. He made that great play. He makes plays. Look what he did against KC. He sealed the deal with that big interception to end the game. I think we see him again. You went with AJ Epinesa. I'm going to go with, Gregory Rousseau is going to say, Von Miller's out. I'm ready to take the role. I'm ready to step up and be that guy. So I think he has 3 sacks.
Wow.
Groot
Very
has
nice.
3 sacks.
Okay. All
The
right.
thing about Groot, he makes plays. The thing about Groot is he's so tall, and being able, he can get pressure. We've seen him. What's fantastic about this guy is not only can he rush, he can play run defense as well. One of the best run defenders we have on our team. I mean, he can play inside, he can play on the edge. How many times has he been able to knock a ball down, get his
Yeah.
hands up and knock a play? I mean, last year we saw the huge play against Mahomes in the regular season game where he intercepted the ball. He did it last week as well in the game against Mac Jones. He's going to make plays. I'm going to predict 3 sacks. Now, I have another one. I'm not done. I'm just going crazy with the bold predictions this
Let's
week.
go.
My boy Singletary has heard the contest between Jake and I. He says it's getting a little too close for his liking. Devin Singletary has 100 yards rushing.
Nice. You know, I'm going to throw one out there too, because I didn't really do. I mean, I did an offensive one, but it was kind of weak. The Naheem Hines thing, whatever. I think Gabe Davis is going to prove some haters wrong this game, and he's going to have a nice day going up against a guy like DJ Reed. So I think Gabe Davis goes for 2 touchdowns and over 100 yards.
All right.
How about that?
I like it. I would love that. Gabe Davis has been up and down this season, and that would be fantastic for for him for sure, and us. I think it's we always get off track a little bit, but speaking of Gabe, we've seen the dropsies this year, right? The drop passes, and I always worry when there's a little bit of rain, is that going to continue? But he's either a big play guy or it's rare when he's making those. It's 3rd and 5, it's 3rd and 6. They go to Gabe. It's usually Diggs or somebody else. But Gabe,
Stephon Diggs, pretty much all
right.
year. Yeah,
Gabe needs to step up. We need him to be a true number 2 receiver. There's a lot of people saying he's not a true number 2. And at the beginning of the year, we put him there. We said yes. We've seen this guy develop after that 13-second game, and he still has those 13-second game moments.
Yeah.
Right. We saw it a couple times this year.
Right.
But dude, I don't care if you're having these amazing games. You drop a ball on me, you drop a ball. You drop 1, you drop 2. He's had, I don't know how many. He's had maybe almost 10 on the year. I don't know what the official stat is, but it's up there. You start dropping footballs, and you're coming way down on my list. I'm not.
The NFL's a what have you done for me lately league.
Exactly. You're not on my Christmas list if you keep dropping footballs.
Exactly. Yes.
Especially in critical moments. There was a few critical ones that he right in his hands, just dropping them.
Right.
Anyhow, lots of going on this show. It was fun to talk here. Let me bring this slide off, because believe it or not, we're done with the slideshow there, and we're pretty much done with this show. It was fun. We in a little over hour and 42 minutes, Jake. Yeah, that's about right. We had a lot to talk about. We really did.
We did.
And it was good to catch up. Again, remember we have a fundraiser going on for Baby Jack and his family. I've been saying that a lot. You're going to hear us say that on all our shows. This is actually running through the first of the year, and we're going to raise as much as we can. Our goal is 5,000. We've almost hit 3K. So please help us out. We greatly appreciate it. Jake, let me throw it to you for closing thoughts, and then let's go enjoy the rest of our Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. Yeah, I think tomorrow we have a chance to get some revenge, to be a little more physical than the Jets, and to, kick them when they're down pretty much, because I think the Jets right now are in that mode where it's do or die for their playoff hopes. They're going to come out firing. They're not going to go down easy. I think it will still be a close game. As I said, it's going to be like 21-13 going into that fourth quarter. And we'll be on edge a little bit. I think we're going to be on the edge of our seats, and it'll be exciting. And division games are always tough. So it's one that you can't take for granted. I think the Jets are still a very talented football team. And, they have a lot of really good players on that defense, that offense. CJ Mosley is having a phenomenal year. We didn't even really mention him much. That offensive line is still pretty damn good too. Dwayne Brown is their left tackle. Dwayne Brown's a former Pro Bowler as well. They got Connor McGovern, who absolutely tore us apart last game. So I think we're going to get right this game. It's going to be physical. No mistakes, as I said. We're going to come out with a big victory. So let's go Buffalo. Let's believe in our guy, Josh Allen. I always forget this side. Okay, Josh Allen right there. Going to have a big day. And I like what Tom said, too. He said Sabres win 4-2. My dad says Bills 34-10 Jets, or 34-10 Bills over Jets. Milano with the strip sack. Love
I see
that.
where you get it now, Jake, because Big L always comes.
Yeah, it's every game with him.
He's got the big numbers, 34. We're dropping 30 on everybody.
Right.
I
Right.
love the belief. We should. I mean, honestly, again, the defenses seem to have adjusted and caught up a little bit in the NFL with these passing teams, but we do expect the Bills to be able to drop 30 on anybody. But this is a great defense. I think, like you said, the Jets are 7-5, Jake, and they can easily they could be 9-3 right now.
Yeah.
Like they could have won that game against Minnesota. That freaking Patriot loss that they had was just insane.
Right.
So they could, and I'm sure there's other games that I could look back at. They could easily be 9-3. We could be playing for the lead in the division. And you're right. Right now, it's looking. I think they're the 7th seed right now. If the season was to end right now, I think they're the 7th seed, so they would get in as the wild card. So this is super important for them. Did I lose you, Jake? Looks like you froze up there. That's all right. We're at the end of the show. I greatly appreciate you, everyone out in the channel. And again, if you're new to the channel, please comment, like, and subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you all soon. Take care. Go Bills.